How's everything going today, guys? My name is the Quacken, and today I wanted to share with you guys some great news and some very interesting news regarding a couple of amusement parks that were in danger of not ever opening up again back in February. Obviously, everyone knows the situation with Indiana Beach and Fantasy Island, both of them being closed by Apex Parks in February of 2020. Indiana Beach was rescued in April by Gene Staples, and the park has since reopened. I did make my first ever visit last weekend right after Hollywood Nights and Keys to the Kingdom, and I loved the couple hours I got to spend there. Not to mention, the tacos are great. But that's beside the point. So let's go ahead and start off with Indiana Beach. So, while I was in line for Steel Hog, a ride operator there said there was a possibility for a new coaster coming next year. I immediately was starting to scratch my head. I'm thinking, how in the world is Indiana Beach going to fit in a new coaster? Especially if they don't remove anything. Now, it's pretty clear that Indiana Beach doesn't have a ton of space to work with. I mean, the last coaster that they added, Steel Hog, was pretty much plopped right in between two parking lots at Indiana Beach. It's kind of hidden off the beaten path. It's kind of hard to get to if you're not familiar with Indiana Beach, which I gotta be honest, I kind of got lost trying to find it myself. But anyways, I just thought it was kind of interesting that Indiana Beach could potentially add a new roller coaster next year. I'm really not sure what the park could be adding. I mean, I'll probably make a separate video as to like speculation of what Indiana Beach's next coaster could be. I'll probably do something like that, I'm not sure. But I want to get to the amazing news, and that is that Fantasy Island, the other park that was closed by Apex back in February, has officially found themselves a new buyer. So Indiana Beach was rescued by Gene Staples. Fantasy Island was rescued in July by Empire Adventures. Now, obviously, with the COVID-19 pandemic, there was pretty much no chance of Fantasy Island opening up in 2020, but Empire Adventures has put out a 3-phase plan for reopening the park. They call it revitalizing, reimagining, and reopening Fantasy Island. I kind of had to think about that for just a minute, but that is the 3-phase. Those are kind of the 3 things that Empire Adventures has in mind for Fantasy Island. So I think this is absolutely fantastic news. This is a park that I was kind of bummed that I may have missed out on a chance to go visit. So I'm really happy that one of these days I'll plan up a trip through the northeastern US and I'll make it a point to get to Fantasy Island while I'm out there. But I kind of want to go over the 3 phases and kind of go into detail what Empire Adventures has in store for Fantasy Island. But let's go ahead and get right into it. Starting with phase 1, I'll put a link to the article down in the description below for you guys to read. So be sure to check it out. It's Empire Adventures website, so it kind of goes more in depth as to what you can expect with Fantasy Island's 5-year, 3-phase reopening plan. But going ahead with phase 1, we have the park is using the rest of 2020 to make necessary beautification efforts like cleaning up the mess that was left by park management. And that is a direct quote from the company's website. So that's going to be what's happening in the rest of 2020. So for 2021, they will be planning on opening up next summer. Some of the attractions that they plan on opening up with next year include the park's famous wooden coaster, Silver Comet, as well as a few other thrill rides and family attractions. It doesn't look like that Crazy Mouse or Max's Doggy Dog coaster will be opening up with the park. It looks like those are probably being sold to other parks, so Either that or they've met the scrapyard, but it does not look like those two coasters, which were also part of Fantasy Island's lineup when the park was abruptly closed, it does not look like they will be a part of the park's lineup in the future. So that is a little unfortunate, but I think it's great that Fantasy Island is opening up with Silver Comet. It looked like a really good CCI. But that's kind of a brief overview of like 2021 for phase 2, and then for phase 3, the park is probably going to be opening up rides and attractions on an annual basis. At least that's what Empire Adventures plans on doing. So I think that that's great to see that that's what's going to be going on. That it's pretty obvious that they wanted to open up the park, but it's also fantastic that they're wanting to invest into this park and make the park even better in the future. And one of the things that Empire Adventures quoted on the website is they say they want to make it a world-class regional attraction. They want to make Fantasy Island just a world-class attraction. So I think it's fantastic that both of the two major properties that were closed by Apex in February, both have officially been rescued. Obviously, both of those parks have a lot of history. Indiana Beach dates back to 1926, and then Fantasy Island dated back to 1961. Now, obviously, Indiana Beach has been open for a couple months now. I thought that the park was run pretty smoothly. No, they were not requiring masks or really heavily enforcing social distancing or anything, but I knew that there was no chance of Fantasy Island opening up in 2020, which is kind of unfortunate, but you know, given how the Democrats are wanting to keep everything closed for as long as they possibly can, and all the COVID restrictions that New York has, I'm not really surprised, but I am very thankful that it looks like I'll get a chance to visit Fantasy Island one of these days. Like I said, I'm trying to plan like maybe a northeastern U.S. trip within the next couple of years, and I'll make it a point to hit Fantasy Island while I'm up in the northeastern U.S. So hope you guys enjoyed this news update. I know it was a little bit interesting, kind of hit me on the spot, but that's just kind of what's been going on with Fantasy Island. Obviously, great news regarding them, and then very interesting news regarding Indiana Beach and a potential new roller coaster. So some great things going on with the two parks that Apex left for dead, but those are just my thoughts on everything that's been going on. So feel free to drop a like and to subscribe if you're new around here, and be sure to post all your thoughts down in the comments below, and I will see you guys all next time.